Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 9th of... There's a big horn going on outside. Today's the 9th of August, 2019. It's Friday. That means it's our weekly roundup. We're going to cover all the news that happened this week.
I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start, you guys. There's like literally 5 bombshells every day. It's like you get hit by a wave and you get hit by a wave and you get hit by a wave, and we probably could have gone live 20 times a day and not covered all the news. I have no idea how we're going to cover it all tonight, but we're happy to be here. So while everybody's coming in, this is a story that we're going to obviously cover again Sunday afternoon with our European show, but this is where we have U.S. News. Richard Gere here, not looking his stellar best.
Okay, but dude, like old now though, right?
Yeah, 69.
I mean, for like, I always think of him as like the young actor, right? Like the main guy, and so 69 is not old, but I mean, in my mind, he's always going to be Pretty Woman. Yeah,
well, he's here Pretty Immigrant. So he's boarded one of these illegal NGOs and decided that they all need to flood Europe. Oh, we need volume.
Where's our speaker? See, Patriot Gallery has kind of come in and taken over the studio. So now everything is, we don't know where anything is. You might have to, here it is.
I have an article on it. We got a lot to cover today because Joe Biden has been like literally falling in his own trap, like his own.
But why do they let him speak though? I mean, at least with Hillary, I mean, there were talking points and she was kind of a robot. They shouldn't let him talk.
They shouldn't let him talk.
Like, just tell him.
Don't talk.
Well, you know what, though? They should tell him to stay away from anything that has to do with anybody's race.
No. It's not that.
Don't say white. Don't say black. Don't say Hispanic.
Well, then he came out and said, we represent truth, not facts. So, where do you go with that?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No.
So, it's a series of gaffes this week. So, that's why when I put in the title, Biden's series of gaffes this week.
They were on 2 boats in the middle of the ocean. One of the boats was turned back and taken by the Libyan Navy. We don't know what happened to them. The 2 boats that were rescued here, probably all hands on board would have been lost. So the people that you see here on this boat, they're only here because of the donations to Open Arms, to the work that Open Arms does. And now, for the most important thing for these people here is to be able to get to a free port. Be able to get off the boat, get on land, and start a new life, be taken care of, and make a life for themselves.
That's not happening in Europe, Richard Gere, because you're flooding Europe with a bunch of young men. You keep calling them people, okay? But you're surrounded by working military age, healthy young men.
Right.
Who are fleeing what? They're coming, they're not asylum seekers, okay? These are not old, they're not poor, they're not women, they're not children. Look at them, okay? Seriously, my heart goes out to asylum seekers who are like fleeing North Korea or fleeing Cuba. But these people are paid, they pay thousands of dollars, they're being human trafficked.
Well, okay.
And Richard Gere is a human trafficker. And that's what we should put in our title. Richard Gere, human trafficker. Because these people are making millions of dollars. And they're getting donations to top it all off. Okay? They're making a killing just living on the ocean in the Mediterranean, having a good time.
Well, and that's the thing, actually. To be perfectly honest, I think that Richard Gere is a puppet here. I don't think he quite understands what's going on.
Oh, he does. He's not stupid. No, he's not stupid. They all know exactly. Okay. They're not stupid.
All right.
Richard Gere is not stupid.
I think he's stupid.
No, he's not stupid. These people aren't stupid.
No, not these people,
no,
but Richard Gere I think
is
stupid.
on that boat, okay? And he sees all these men, okay?
Right.
He knows that they're fleeing for economic reasons.
Right.
I don't know why he's supporting it, but he's not stupid. Okay, he's not thinking, oh my goodness, look at these asylum seekers trying to get here from, these totalitarian communist governments.
No, but what I think is, see, we've watched videos and we've actually seen Borderless. We've seen Lauren Southern interview these people. These people are being misled into getting onto these boats. Okay, these men, they are just men. Okay, they really do think they're going to come to Europe and they're going to get all this free stuff and they're going to be able to, and it's going to be utopia. They are being lied to. So if I was Richard Gere and I was in that situation and I wasn't red pilled, I would be looking at, and if you're a liberal, right? We should help the world. We should help every single person. So it doesn't matter whether they're refugees or not.
Okay, so if Richard Gere can do math, he's not stupid. Okay. These are talking points that the left puts out there. They're not stupid. I don't think they're not. One of them is stupid. Very few of them have a heart. The doctors in these camps are taking money from the migrants to get them fake papers. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
But don't you
They're
think
taking money from them.
But don't you think when Richard Gere shows up that even those people put on the big front and he doesn't get to see that? You think they're really telling Richard Gere, hey, look, watch us take money from these people?
I think Richard Gere has a television like I do and can see the Islamic terror attacks and can see that once they get into Paris, Paris is in shambles. He's a world traveler. He goes to these places and he knows exactly what is happening more than you or I do. He knows what is happening. He's part of the elite who wants a global migration and a global change. Okay, the one world government. I don't know what he's thinking, but I know it's not good. I do not give him one benefit of one doubt.
Okay.
Once you step on one of those boats and you see all the men and you hear about all the rapes and you see what's happening, you realize, no, people can't come into countries illegally. Okay?
But there's a reason why half the world, not half the world, but a good portion of the world is thinking that they should come.
Because they're putting these calls out. And a lot of the calls are from the human traffickers saying, here, come give me money. Come give me your money. I want your money.
No. I mean, like, the young people that we talk to. The people that... So you're saying that because Richard Gere is an elite and he's in Hollywood and he knows that knows the knows. But there are literally the people that stand out there with signs thinking this is a bleeding heart mission.
Then they are stupid.
That if it is...
No, but they're stupid. There are stupid people and then there are smart people.
Because I don't think it's that far-fetched to think, and I don't believe this, and you don't believe this, but I don't think it's that far-fetched to think, you know what? These people are poor in their country. Why not give them an opportunity in Europe to make something of themselves? I'm thinking that's where Richard Gere is at.
Is that Richard Gere isn't that stupid.
Okay.
He did not get to be a millionaire in Hollywood by being stupid. There's a lot of stupid people out there who can't do math. If you can do basic math, you can realize that you can't allow everyone from the world into every country. Okay? It just takes basic math. And what I'm saying is that there are liberals...
Look at the Democrat, debates. Every single person that stands up there pretty much says America should be free and open for anybody that wants to come and live here.
They are smart people, and they're peddling a lie because they have an agenda of getting elected here in America.
You don't think that Richard Gere just wants to look good?
I think Richard Gere does want to look good, but I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I don't think that Richard Gere is stupid. I think that there are a lot of good-hearted liberals out there who are really, really stupid and can't do math.
Okay.
Richard Gere is really highly intelligent. Okay. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's not stupid.
But we don't understand what his reasons are. We just know that they're bad.
It's the lefty. It's the let them eat cake. It's the mentality of the elite. It's the one world order, new world order. If he is Richard Gere and he's in the higher echelons of Hollywood, he's part of the new world order, the one world government.
Right.
Okay, where there are no borders. So he's probably pushing the no borders.
Right.
Chaos. And at the end of the day, it's just demonic. Because with chaos, you have loss of life.
There you go. That is the ultimate reason.
But Richard Gere knows exactly what he's doing. There are evil people who know what they're doing, and then there's innocent evil people who don't know what they're doing. Richard Gere, the upper echelons know exactly what they're doing. Elizabeth Warren knows what she's doing. Bernie Sanders knows what they will be held to account. Because what they're doing is actually, this segues into these ICE raids that I'm going to talk about in Mississippi. Large-scale ICE raids. Have you guys heard the Koch brothers? super, super, super wealthy billionaires who feel like they can.
We've talked about them a few times.
Everybody says that they're libertarians and that they support Republicans or blah 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 blah. They're open border fanatics.
They're like double agents. It's creepy.
Okay. And they have a horrible, awful chicken processing plant.
Oh.
And a lot of these undocumented immigrants or these illegal immigrants were swept up in this. There were 7 Mississippi food processing plants. In a record-setting operation, at least 680 undocumented immigrants were detained. More than 300 of them have been released. It's the largest single-state immigration enforcement operation in our nation's history. The raids led to a series of heart-wrenching images and videos of family members, including young children whose parents were detained. And I'm going to tell you that I am not heartless. My heart, and this is what I wrote on my Facebook page, my heart goes out to these families. And I wrote on my Facebook page, I said, guess what? I care about and love these people and these families more than a single open border Democrat. You want to know why? Because when people...
I didn't research this. Tim Pool, he said that it's a different Koch family. It's not
Is it?
Koch brothers.
Okay.
That's what Tim Cass said. I don't know. I
Okay.
didn't research it.
Well, I was on
Hear what she said, that Tim Cass had said it's not the Koch brothers, it's a different Koch family.
and Kotler said it was.
Ah.
So and that's why I said it, because she says, oh my gosh, the Koch brothers are going to have to hire Americans.
Gotcha.
So I think that they're so
I wanted to pull up, Leah, quickly.
Koch Foods announced the company will host a job fair on Monday after many of its workers at its 2 Mississippi plants were swept up in the immigration raid.
Your post on that had received a lot of response, and I was wondering maybe if you could read it.
I was gonna just
if I can
do
find
it from
it.
mine,
But no, but like it was really, really powerful. The way that you, how long ago was it that you posted that one?
Keep going.
Is this it?
No, keep going.
No,
Here, that was in. I don't know if they're looking at that right
they're
now.
not, but I can.
Okay. Well, there's a suspect in a crash. You can see that article on Resistance Chicks who was an illegal immigrant who's supposedly deported, but a church hid him.
This guy right here.
And no, that's the father of 5 that was
Okay.
killed by
Right.
an illegal immigrant.
Right.
Miguel
Ramirez.
he killed a father of 5 driving recklessly. He previously pled guilty to reckless endangerment of a child and a DUI, but escaped deportation, claiming sanctuary at a church.
Wow.
While the media gave him sympathetic coverage, but he killed. And now these kids are fatherless because this person had a history of breaking the law. And he wasn't one of those mothers just with their children, these beautiful, wonderful families that they like to talk about, which there are here in America, illegally. But this wasn't one. And the left can't even say deport the criminals, deport DUI people who they don't have a license and they're driving drunk. They kill people.
Right.
Usually the people who have killed people have been arrested under a DUI before.
Is this your post right here?
Mm-hmm.
I think you should just read it. It was really, really good.
You can read it.
Well, but I didn't write it.
But you know exactly what I'm saying.
My heart hurts for families torn apart. It's not a pretty sight. I love immigrants and all people, but I love them more than Democrats who want open borders. Why? Because places that hire illegal immigrants, places like this, Koch Foods, do so not because they care about people, but for their bottom line. They cheat on tax forms, which if you or I did that, we would go to jail. They pay people low wages and put them in hard conditions. I have room to speak. Right now, I have meat birds about to be legally and ethically processed. The process of raising, nurturing, and loving these birds is hard work, but knowing what goes on inside a chicken processing factory spurs me on. Americans spend less on food than they have in history. They don't mind harsh conditions of workers or animals as long as it's 10 cents cheaper a pound. Not all Americans, many are searching out locally grown produce and meat that is ethically raised and ethically processed. And by ethically processed, that is ethical for both the animal and the human. If you would not do it, don't ask someone else to do it. I care about these immigrants deeply, so much so that I have had conversations with many who don't want to be here, but there is a bigger story at play. NAFTA flooded the Mexican economy with cheap corn. Corn was the lifeblood of the Mexican economy. Many farmers went out of business and communities broke up. One man who helped put our roof on said that he had goats and chickens back home and looked at our backyard with longing for that simpler life and his family. Monsanto has a great deal of blame for the immigration issue we face, and so do unscrupulous employers who think, well, if they are willing to take a lower wage and no benefits, why not $2 a pound strawberries? If you're going to buy from people, buy as much as you can straight from them. Heck, if you know someone is an illegal immigrant, at least support their own business and not that of large corporations. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-illegal immigration because it hurts everyone and feeds the slavery, racist mentality that Joel Salatin points out, letting the brown people do your dirty work. Maybe get your own hands dirty. And if you want to help immigrants come here, help them come legally through the front door and not break through the back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people had responded really well to your post on that, which is
yeah,
why
because I think that we really have to say, I care about these people, and you have to play it up, and you have to tell people, I care about these people more than Democrats. Democrats are still, if your friends ask you about illegal immigration, the one thing you need to tell them is that
they are
the
still
Democrats
the party
are still
of
the
slavery.
party of slavery because they want brown people here to do cheap labor. And I hear all these people, these white supremacists on the left say, well, Americans won't do that work. Well, guess what, guys? I remember I went to Bible college in the late 90s, early 2000s. And when I left here, we didn't have any Latinos. Cincinnati had no Latinos. I'm not saying that I would have minded being friends with them, but I went down to Oklahoma and I expected them to be there. Tons of Latinos everywhere. No big deal.
Well, no, I think what you were getting at is we have an amusement park. And that's,
statement.
It's not a matter of them being here. It's a matter of
I'm
the
saying
jobs that
what I'm saying is that they weren't here. And then 5 years later, I come back to Cincinnati and suddenly you've got them sweeping doing the dirtiest jobs at the amusement parks, being the sweepers, which usually my high school friends were doing the sweeping. So no white supremacy there, right?
Right.
Then regular, U.S. citizens were putting your roof on. Now suddenly every roof is put on by an illegal immigrant team who doesn't even speak English except for one guy.
Right.
Then all your tree trimmers, they don't speak English. One guy.
So what the people that say that
your mulch people
Americans wouldn't do that work, they're lying.
How did the world continue on
15 years
in the
ago,
80s
we still
and
had
90s.
roofs and we still had people sweeping
and we still
streets.
had chicken, and we still had strawberries, and we still had lettuce, and we still had all these things.
Yeah.
Okay? I remember in the 80s, I don't remember, but I remember knowing about what was happening. I was alive in the 80s, but I didn't know as a kid what was going on. I've since gone back in history. And there were strikes from legal immigrants of the, Latinos in the vineyard industry because they wanted better working conditions and better wages, and they were able to over years and years get it. But you had a lot of it was just in Texas and in the food agriculture areas of California. And suddenly it's not agriculture anymore because people say, well, a white person wouldn't do it. Well, guess what? It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with being willing to do something illegal for a benefit, okay? Mexican economy is obviously cheaper than here. And so people come over here, they make a lot of money, and they send it back there, and it's like they double and triple, quadruple it. What if you could
Which
go
is why they're willing
over
to
to
work
Canada and suddenly, instead of making $50,000 a year, you're making $250,000 a year, no taxes, and you just send it back home.
But
that's the equivalent.
Here's the thing, though. While they're here, they really make no money. And so for them to shop or to do anything and live, it's kind of like, imagine going to live in California or the East Coast where everything is like 2 or 3 times what it is here.
Because their wage here is higher than it would be in Mexico, but it's still lower than what it takes to survive.
Yeah. Which is why there's 30 that live in an apartment. And
when we were in Oklahoma, our apartment manager said there were 26 people that would rotate sleeping in one apartment. Right. You'd go down the street, and I don't know how they fit that many people in one vehicle. Obviously illegal, but they don't care. If all they do is get deported. With you and I, when we do things, we go to jail. Yeah. We go to jail for a while,
right?
And it's absolutely insane. You have people like Geraldo Rivera saying about these people, poor people here, who I feel badly for. Okay, my heart goes out to them. I don't see them as the enemy of America, and that's a different thing than in Europe, because these and I will always say this, these Latinos coming over here, most of them are really good people, and they're Christians, and if they had the chance, they would assimilate into American culture and things like that. But because they don't come here legally, they mess everything up for themselves and for everybody else,
and the people that they're cutting in line
and they're cutting in front of other people. And who benefits from all of this? The elites, the corporations, the people like the Koch brothers, who just want to keep their bottom line. They look at the end of the day, they look at their spreadsheets, and they realize their highest cost is wages.
Right.
So if they can cut, they're the ones who, a lot of these elites want universal health care because they want the government to pay for it.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay for it. Do you understand that?
That's a really
These
good
are
point,
elites
Leah.
who want the government to pay for things, you and me, and they don't want to pay for wealth. They want their bottom line to go up, up, up for them and lower for everybody else. They don't care. They don't care about their employees, or they don't care about them.
Right.
These Democrats, they sob stories and they lie through their teeth. And that's why I know Richard Gere's a liar, just like them all. Just like all of them. Because I know specifically here, they're not even working. They're not even putting the Africans to work in Europe. It's so weird. I don't know. I don't understand exactly the whole migration issue in Europe and why. I know exactly why the elites want them here, because they want brown people slaves. Hey, black people, they're tired of being slaves, so let's do the next group.
So can I throw out a real legit conspiracy theory answer for that? Like, it's total theory. It just came to my mind. Okay. So what happens in places like Luton or even Michigan or Minnesota, where people come in and flood it and bring a new culture, or it, like we're seeing in Europe, a lot of times we see looting. In California, we see a lot of the homeless people living on the streets. What happens? People move, right? They move. They don't feel safe. They don't feel like home. So they stop having children. Lifestyles change, and the mindset change. Morale of a society changes. And I honestly believe that these people are so racist that the reason they're bringing these people in is to diminish Europeans, and then they will have no problem coming and exterminating these people like insects when it's over. I think that could be part of why they're doing it. I think that they have a larger game plan, and so they're thinking, oh, let's just flood, and then we'll just, hit the button. It's gotten too crazy, and boom, they're done.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. So Joe Biden has had one stellar week. He trips and verbally trips, and he gets his foot stuck in his mouth. And in order to get his one foot stuck out of his mouth, he puts his other foot in there. And then he does it again. And then he does it again. And you just have to, a lot of people are saying, well, please pick him. I want you to.
I think he's the best suited candidate for the Democrat Party to represent them. I really do.
Oh, we went off.
We might have, you might need to plug this in and charge it. Well, we were talking for a while. Maybe it just died, but still.
Maybe it just died.
Give it a second.
Ring. So, here's his racist statement.
Now, are you gonna cut it off, or are you gonna let it finish? Like, I would cut it off and then go back, replay it, and then let it finish.
We should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Well,
did you catch that? That was a Freudian slip. Now, this comes from, I want to get the exact quote. This is going to be great. I hope they pick Biden. I hope they pick Biden, because he's actually a better candidate for us than Hillary
just
Clinton was.
as suited as white kids.
Right, white kids. So poor kids, white kids, poor kids, white kids, white supremacy much?
What is the opposite of white kids?
All right, so I'm going to read you this gaffe real quick from 2007 when he wasn't even his vice president, or I don't know if he was the vice president candidate with him or not. I guess he was. He said, I mean, you've got the first sort of mainstream African American. First of all, that's the first mainstream African American,
Right.
because like until 2007, most African Americans were not mainstream; they were fringe.
Right.
You've got the first mainstream African American who is articulate,
Oh boy.
bright,
Oh no.
and clean, and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's storybook, man. This is, he literally in one sentence tells you the flip flop of the Democrat Party. They realized that they could use black people, okay? That they saw them as fringe, as dirty, inarticulate, and not smart, and actually ugly. Okay, and so to him, he says, you got this first sort of mainstream African American who's articulate. He's half white, by the way, so I'm sure that helped with Biden. You're half white, so it's okay. These Democrats are the biggest white supremacists,
quote
biggest racists you have ever
with
met.
these young children at the rally to point out.
Well, we should have this on the card and say who said this.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this is the theme. Okay, we're going to
Right.
we have to follow Biden because this is in 2007. And then he also came out and said, I worked with KKK people, and I wanted to say that it didn't matter, who they were. I worked with racists. I work with anybody. Okay, he has no problem with racists. And then he was called out on that. He didn't support busing at the time, and Kamala Harris took him to the woodshed on that. But he's still hanging on. Why? Because Democrats are the party
Of slavery.
Let's put forward all of our women and all of our black candidates or whatever. But you know what? We really just want the white guy. Okay, so back to Biden's. We're going to play this again.
Play it again, and then we're going to let it finish because he does try to
Make it better.
Make it
You
better.
know, we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
So basically what he said is poor kids are black.
Right. If you're not catching on to that.
So we have more.
Thank you, Biden, for that. That was really enjoyable.
So then
Hang on, though, because I'm still, like, wistfully hopeful that Biden is going to be there.
yeah, there is nobody who the independents.
Do you know
cannot
that
vote for
Hillary
him.
Clinton, they're so desperate that they are kind of dabbling
Thinking,
with,
should we put her
should
in?
we put Hillary in?
Should
We
we
still
put
have some
her in?
time. If we put her in, maybe she could come in like some sort of dark horse at the, no, but maybe, and that's what I said early on. I said, I think that it's possible that they have put up these ridiculous candidates so that they can come up with somebody at the end that everybody goes, okay, you know what? At least it's not
Here's the
these
thing.
people.
They wasted their time. They spent 2 long years trying to just impeach Trump.
Right.
Get him out the illegal way.
Exactly.
That they spent no time trying to curate and come up with a candidate that could actually beat him.
Exactly.
They have literally
We should
the
challenge
D.
these
I didn't
students.
touch it.
We should challenge students in these schools to have
You
advanced
touched
placement
it.
programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're
Might as well
poor,
listen to it again.
you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And then, though, hang on. In his trying to make up for it, what's the very next thing he says?
Wealthy kids.
Wealthy kids. So now all white kids
Kids
are
are
wealthy
wealthy.
kids.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Okay,
Thank you,
so,
Biden.
I-
Thank you.
yeah.
you.
Yeah, if the Democrats spent so much time, and they're still trying, Nadler is putting forth articles of impeachment because they're looking at, they're realizing that even with school shootings and shootings, they're not going to get a candidate that people are going to get behind. Okay?
Well, I don't. So here's the funny thing is that, okay, so you impeach Trump and then you get Pence?
No, because everybody says that, and then they're like, we have to impeach him too.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, Pence would then have to win the election again. Here's a question for you. Can an impeached president run for office again?
That's funny. He'd have to be impeached to both houses. All right.
He's not going to be impeached.
No. So here we have Joe Biden is at the Iowa Fair, and an Iowa college student comes up and asks him a really simple question. How many genders are there? And what's crazy about it is that, Joe Biden is known for touchy-feely. Well, he doesn't like what she says, and he grabs her arm. But here we go. So that's the beginning where you see him grab her arm. So you can't see what she's saying. You can't hear what she's saying, but you can read it. She asks him, how many genders are there? And he responds, there are at least 3. And she says, what are they? And he laughs and says, don't play games with me, kid.
Good job. Thank you, man. Good to talk. By the way, first one.
So he goes in. He's got her right here. By the way, the first one for marriage was me.
My name is Katie. I am born and raised in Iowa, and I am currently a student in Iowa. Today, I showed up at the state fair to ask former Vice President Joe Biden a question about gender. When I asked the question, it took a few seconds for the question to register, and then he responded with 3. I asked a follow-up question. I asked, okay, what are they? Joe Biden looked at me and said, don't mess with me, kid. I started to walk away, and then it doesn't stop there. He grabs my arm and pulls me back to make eye contact with him again, and he yells something about marriage at me.
Good to talk. By the way, first one came out for marriage.
So I walked away, and I was mad, just very, very mad that someone would actually treat me like that.
So first of all, we all know that there are only 2 genders, and he says at least 3, but he can't answer why there are 3 genders
Well,
or
but
what there are.
technically, the accepted answer is like somewhere in like the 70s, I think, like 60s or 60 or 70, I think. I mean, if you Google how many genders there are, we could just do that as for fun.
So here's the thing: while you're doing that, and as my thing is playing in the background, this is disturbing. A 6th grader is dragged out of class for saying gender-confused boy is a boy. The school district claims this person wasn't punished, young boy wasn't punished, but it dragged him out of class for the day and warned him not to correctly identify the biological sex of a classmate again, not say that a boy is a boy. Liberty Counsel said an Ohio school district backed down after the religious liberty law firm warned that it could not punish a 6th grader for disagreeing with classmates who said a boy with gender dysphoria was actually a girl. According to the narrative by Liberty Counsel in a press release and subsequent fundraising pitch, the school uniformly referred to the gender-confused male, boy A, as a girl and used female pronouns for him. In a redacted letter to the school district, Liberty Counsel said boy A had started publicly identifying as a female this spring. It became heavily discussed at school, particularly by a group of girls in John's classes who quickly started treating boy A as a girl and frequently discussing his transition with him in art class. John is also in that class and considers boy A a friend. He was subjected to conversations about these issues constantly on at least a weekly or semi-weekly basis because the girls and boy A sat directly behind him. On May 13th, the girls claimed that taking girl hormones and eventually getting his male private parts removed would turn boy A into a girl. John, the kid in question here, disagreed as a factual matter and said he's not a girl. Another boy agreed that sex is what you're born with and cannot be changed by hormones and surgery, and a third boy may have said something to the similar effect. Their art teacher overheard the conversation and reported John and the boys to the assistant principal, falsely claiming that they were bullying boy A and the third boy called him a homosexual. The assistant principal, who was not named, called John to her office the next day and warned him there might be consequences because he called boy A boy and used male pronouns. She pulled him out of his physical education class that afternoon in front of his friends and apparently warned him again that he will be punished if he refuses to refer to boy A as a girl. According to Liberty Counsel, John learned that the other boys received in-school suspension that day for their participation in the conversation and out-of-school suspension the following day. The assistant principal called John's mother that day and said he was only suspended from gym class because though he misgendered boy A, she didn't believe that John was participating in the bullying. Liberty Counsel also told the school district it was not legally allowed to silence students who respectfully disagree with their classmates that castration is a good thing for boy A. It can't force John to encourage boy A in his gender identity because that could play a role in the gender-confused student taking harmful cross-sex hormones and seeking non-medically necessary surgery. Citing the Supreme Court's Tinker ruling, which banned schools from suppressing the peacefully expressed beliefs of students, Liberty Counsel told the school district it was singling out John for participating in conversation during school times when students may talk about otherwise permissible subjects of discussion. It emphasized that John was repeatedly subjected to these conversations in art class, and the teacher apparently allowing the students to affirm boys' A gender identity but not to disagree with it. To punish John is to turn classrooms into enclaves of totalitarianism that censor the commonly held mainstream factual view that sex is biologically determined. Liberty Counsel cited more than 6,500 unique differences at the DNA level between the sexes that do not change based on hormones or surgery. Not only did the school district botch its own anti-harassment policy, but it's violating a students' rights policy that protects the constitutional rights of students to express themselves as appropriate for the school environment. Since informal transgender discussion has already been approved in the classroom, the school district can't censor one view, the letter said. Liberty Counsel threatened to sue if the school district did not expunge John's record for the incident. It must also promise not to punish or coerce students for respectful disagreement with transgender ideology and using sex pronouns correctly. In a response letter, the school district's law firm denied that John had been formally disciplined, saying his temporary removal from class was not recorded. It said the Board of Education does not punish students for respectful disagreement on any topic. It's a little more complicated on the pronoun issue. The Board of Education does not discipline students for using certain pronouns in referring to students or coerce any student to use a particular pronoun. Staff may inform students that a particular student prefers to be referred to as a particular pronoun. However, that would only occur with consent of the student and his or her parents, but no student would be required to use the preferred pronoun. According to Liberty Counsel's release, John's parents were satisfied with the assurances. The unnamed school district is apparently Cincinnati Public Schools.
Oh my gosh.
Right here, baby. Based on the Dateline.
That's crazy.
So right here, baby.
So, Rainey
Strong
on Facebook says kids shouldn't have anything to do with this anyway. Once they're of age, do what they want. I agree with you there.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Okay. We aren't actually done with Biden. He did another crazy. We're not done with Biden. So Biden, I went to a church, and there's actually, we sing a song here on Resistance Chicks, and we actually say exactly what Biden says here.
Oh, yeah.
But Biden isn't a minister.
No kidding.
And, so this does not apply to him.
Division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. And so, folks, if you're interested, join me. I could use the help.
So, what's more disturbing? The fact that he says we choose truth over facts, because AOC said the same thing. She said it's more important to be like morally right than factually right. So we're gonna listen to it again.
Division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. And so, folks, if you're interested, join me.
What does he mean?
So
Take a stab at the
hang on.
dark.
I think he meant to say we choose truth over lies.
That's not what he said. Or it's
Yep.
called faith.
Right.
So I believe that Joe Biden is correct because his whole his whole soapbox here is, and he calls it the soapbox, is based on faith.
Yeah.
Because none of it's
He's a
based
man
on
of faith. They all are.
But it's a religion.
They all are.
That shall not be named because no one knows exactly
right.
what it is. Now, there's one more. Where he says, let's see.
Here comes Patriot Gallery. No. Yes. Here she comes.
Doesn't find mean when it comes to science, he means global warming. Which is science.
Because he did precede that by saying,
and
we're talking about science.
Truth over facts.
The fact is that
if somebody says they're a female, then they're a female. That's the
right,
truth.
Right.
Even though they're a male.
That's exactly, Mom. You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
We choose truth over facts.
You don't hear me. You have to re-say it.
So what she's saying is that if somebody is factually a male or a female, that they choose the truth that they're not.
Their truth.
Their truth.
Their personal truth.
Exactly. I don't know if I
while you're looking that up, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Let me do this before I lose track of it here. We were wondering what the whole deal was as far as so I googled how many genders are there. This was the 4th article down. 63 genders, now 81. This author says that they wrote it in 2000 and then updated it because they have now since come up with more genders. So I wanted to scroll down here for you guys to see how they come up with these genders, okay? So, physically, personality, or physical personality and preference. So here you can be a culturally female, and I'm going to guess that makes you female, okay? But then you can be...
why do they have that twice?
I don't know why they have that twice. But here you can be culturally female, and then culturally male. And then and it goes on, and it's all very culturally non-binary. And it goes on and on and on.
Culture?
And these are the I don't know, because here's intersex.
What does culturally female mean?
That's a very good question. So here's the 81. So
I find it was just going on and on about carbon something another. It's we have to get all carbon out of the world. We're just going to be all carbon, no carbon.
You know what happens? The plants die.
We all die. We all die with no carbon. We all die. It's kind of like he's like a flippant guy. He's like a really bad wizard with a wand that just goes and everybody just dies.
Well, not only that, but he has no idea what he's talking about, and then he always ends it with, well, never mind. Anyway. That's his favorite thing.
Speaking about people who don't care what they're doing, there is a new movie that's going to come out.
This is awful.
Called The Hunt. And I don't think that they should air it at all. It's an R-rated movie. And we've had all these massacres.
Right.
And they want to put out a movie that literally is supposedly satire.
Right.
Where the elite's character asked early in the screenplay for The Hunt, the Universal Pictures thriller set to open September 27th. Another responds, at least The Hunt is coming up. Nothing better than going out to the manor and slaughtering a dozen deplorables. So, the violent R-rated film follows a dozen MAGA types who wake up in a clearing and realize they're being stalked for sport by elite liberals. ESPN pulled the ad for the film, which it had previously cleared. AMC actually ran the spot. You've got Hilary Swank in it. And it's this ultra-violent killing where they just vote. I guess I would think that the conservatives might win out in the end, but I don't know. And I think the idea of it is horrible, especially because the Dayton shooter we know was a crazed anti-MAGA person who went and did do that.
Right. And whenever you glorify something like this, you're going to create copycats. You're going to create... So here's what the left does. Or the globalists, and our Bernie people that actually support us don't like it when I say the left. Okay, here's what the evil people do. Okay? they accuse you of doing something, all the while they're actually the ones that are doing it. They're accusing Trump of glorifying massacres or encouraging people to go out and shoot people, and then they literally do it. And somehow it's okay, though, for them to do it. They need to pull the entire film.
Right. So the script for The Hunt features red state characters wearing trucker hats and cowboy shirts, with one bragging about owning 7 guns because it's his constitutional right. The blue state characters, some equally adept with firearms.
Wow.
Obviously, you horrible, awful rednecks, but I'm armed to the teeth as well.
Right.
I just do it, I don't have a problem getting the guns illegally, right? Explain that they picked their targets because they expressed anti-choice positions or used the N-word on Twitter. War is war, says one character after shoving a stiletto heel through the eye of one denim-clad hillbilly.
I've never personally heard a Trump supporter use the N-word. Like, personally. I've not on television, not in person. I have never heard a Trump supporter use that word.
Nope.
I've been to Trump rallies, never heard it. So here they are making up a false narrative that Trump supporters are racist and they use racial slurs when you would have to be friends with Trump supporters to know that they don't.
All right, so I'm going to talk to you guys about gun control.
Okay.
And Donald Trump, for better or for worse, is kind of a knee-jerk reaction type guy. And if he hears his daughter go after you even had some other, some Fox News people going after Trump. And everybody blamed Trump and they blamed Second Amendment and everything for the recent shootings. And we know that there's a lot of reasons for shootings. And we could close our eyes and just say, let's keep our Second Amendment. But if we don't fight back, then we'll lose our Second Amendment. And so I want to start with this first, because Brandon Straka is has this Isaiah Washington actor on talking about the Second Amendment and why we have the Second Amendment.
I'll say this. I will say this. Speak up. Speak up. The First Amendment is backed up by the Second Amendment. Draw your own conclusion. And a lot of liberals hire guns, but a lot of conservatives know how to use their guns.
So, and I think that really is it, because somebody pointed out, do you guys know about this Rwanda genocide? 800,000 people were killed. And they were killed
25 years ago. Over the course of just 100 days, about 800,000 people were slaughtered in Rwanda by ethnic Hutu extremists. My name is Victoria Uwonhunda, and I'm a journalist with BBC Africa, and I want to explain how this genocide happened.
I'm gonna play this whole thing.
To understand how the genocide came about, we need to know a bit about the people. There are 2 main ethnic groups in Rwanda: Hutus, who make up about 85% of the population, and the Tutsis, who are a minority but have long dominated the country. Before European
and you and I wouldn't tell a difference.
colonizers arrived in the late 19th century, the Tutsis were mostly aristocratic cattle herders, the Hutus were mainly peasant farmers. The 2 groups share the same language, and they both are majority Christian. In 1959, the Hutus overthrew the Tutsi monarchy, and tens of thousands of Tutsis fled to neighboring countries, including Uganda. Decades later, in the late 1980s, Tutsi refugees in Uganda, supported by some moderate Hutus, formed the Rwandan Patriotic Front, the RPF, led by Paul Kagame, the current president of Rwanda. Their aim was to overthrow the Hutu president Juvenal Habyarimana and secure the right to return to their homeland. The RPF invaded Rwanda in 1990. But in August 1993, after several attacks and months of negotiations, a peace accord was signed between President Habyarimana and the RPF, but it did little to stop the continued unrest. Then came the event that sparked the genocide. On the night of 6th of April 1994, a plane carrying President Habyarimana and his Burundian counterpart Cyprien Ntaryamira, both Hutus, was shot down, killing everyone on board. The mystery of who shot down the plane endures to this day. Hutu extremists blamed the RPF and immediately started a well-organized campaign of slaughter. The RPF said the plane had been shot down by Hutus to provide an excuse for the genocide. Within hours, a campaign of violence spread from the capital Kigali throughout the country, which will not stop for 3 months. The genocide was carried out with meticulous organization. Lists of government opponents were handed out to militias who went and killed them, along with all their families.
And the point is there had to be a list because you can't tell who's who, okay? They look exactly the same. There's no white supremacy in that country, okay? There was no black supremacy in that country. And the reason I point this out is that 800,000 people were killed, mostly with machetes and clubs. Mostly with machetes and clubs. And somebody pointed that out. And I wanted to say, you can't... First of all, gun control does not stop violence because those people wanted to carry out a genocide and they killed almost 1 million people with machetes and clubs. Okay? If I give up my Second Amendment right, then my government can do anything to me and there is nothing I can do to stop it. And it's the idea of the Second Amendment is that the government should always be in fear of the people, not the people in fear of the government. Okay, so no, and what's funny is that we played the Louder with Crowder episode with David Barton, and actually, yeah. In case anybody asks you, some founding fathers and some people during the American Revolution and after, they had cannons.
Right.
They owned cannons. There was no law against cannons.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of people like to say, but they meant muskets because they could never envision a future. The idea of a well-armed militia with muskets is not exactly what they meant.
Well, the idea behind the Second Amendment is so that we can actually defend ourselves if need be against our own government. That's one of the reasons behind, not the main reason, but it is one of the reasons behind our government, behind our Second Amendment. And so if we just have muskets to compete against our government, okay, then, and this would be a good time for me to pull up a letter that we received from Thomas. I'm not going to pronounce your last name correctly, so we'll just go with R. Dear Michelle and Leah, you wanted more letters, so I'm writing more letters. I am still watching your videos whenever I have time. Just wanted to state my opinion to something I noticed recently while observing some statements of American conservatives on the internet. Apparently, many people think if it comes to a hot civil war in America, Antifa and the globalists behind them would lose such a war. And that would probably be true if it would be a fair fight. But expecting to get a fair fight out of these people would be pretty naive, to say the least. What I can tell from my observations of the happenings of the past years is that this conflict sooner or later will go violent. I hope those fighting for freedom of speech and the rights of men to consider that if this happens and the globalists still have such an influence on the media, they will try to paint themselves as a victim and to bring the UN and God knows who else into this conflict. Never expect a fair fight out of these people, and if it looks like a fair fight, it's almost certainly a trap. It appears to me these attacks on free speech and the right to self-defense are also meant to wear those who defend these rights out before the actual battle starts. A smart leader will try to keep his soldiers as rested and morally good condition as possible so their chances of winning the fight are as high as possible when it eventually comes to battle. He will also avoid sending his soldiers into meaningless battles or battles that cannot be won, while his enemy will try to wear them out and demoralize them before the battle happens. In light of the recent shootings that happened, I hope the Republicans are smart enough to figure out that these events were probably instigated to push for gun control in America. Of course, if the enemy can disarm the opposing forces before the battle starts, he will try to do so. Republicans should resist new gun control laws because they would not only be a betrayal of the American people, but also diminish Trump's chances to get reelected, which is probably another goal of those who want to get rid of free speech and the right to self-defense. Good thing is, the right to free speech and self-defense cannot really be taken away because good people will always speak out and defend themselves and their families no matter what some rules. that have been made up by those in power say. And if the rules have to be ignored for this, so be it. Julian Assange and Tommy Robinson should be pardoned also. Nobody should be in prison for saying the truth. That's as clear as night and day. Why is there even a discussion about this? He says, I'm pretty busy these days, especially in the morning, working in my garden and the glass house and searching for a wife, but I am looking forward to watching more of your videos in the future. Best regards to you, Leah, and the Patriot Gallery, Thomas. Aww. So I think that Thomas points out something that's really important. They are trying to wear people down.
Is that a greenhouse?
They are, a glass house, I think, is a greenhouse. They are trying to wear us down so that when the actual battle comes, we're demoralized. Now, a meme that I shared on Facebook, I'm going to summarize it, but it pretty much says, listen, if you think that our country is being ruled by some sort of super Hitler and a bunch of Nazis, and you still want to get rid of the Second Amendment, you might be some kind of special stupid.
Yeah, okay, so Hitler. The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be to allow the subject races to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by doing so. Indeed, I would go so far as to say the supply of arms to the underdogs is a sine qua non for the overthrow of any sovereignty. So let's not have any native militia or native police. German troops alone will bear the sole responsibility for the maintenance of law and order throughout the occupied Russian territories, and the system of military strong points must be evolved to cover the entire occupied country. Germany established gun control in 1938, and from 1939 to 1945, 13 million Jews and others were unable to defend themselves and were rounded up and exterminated. The Jews could have fought back. They could have fought back without weapons, but they went silently into the night because they, like many of us, would say, just appease them one more step. Wear the Star of David. Do the thing. Do the next thing. Do the next thing that they ask. Get on the train. Don't fight.
Right.
Obviously, you had the Warsaw Uprising that the Polish people praise all the time. You have a small band of people rising up. But we are millions and millions. I don't know how many gunners there are in America, but we're millions strong. And we are Democrats and we are Republicans. There are many, 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 many black Democrats who own guns. And they're not giving them up either.
Right.
And when the scales tip, there's more of us than there are of them.
Well, hang on, though, because we keep talking about not giving up our guns, right? But I don't think we're at that step yet. We're now at the, what I would consider the Second Amendment Star of David. And that is, more gun registrations, tighter, so that your name is on the list if you own a weapon.
Here's the thing. If God forbid a Democrat becomes president and you get a Democrat Senate and House, you won't have any right. You will become a felon overnight. Mm-hmm. It'll be the first thing that they pass. And they will come and they will knock on your door and it will be a bloody civil war. But that's not going to happen.
Right.
I want to encourage you guys. But it's not going to happen because people like me and people like you are not going to let it happen because we're not going to fight a battle. A lot of people believe that there's a civil war and it's going to happen. It's not.
No.
It's not. It's not going to happen. You know why? Because I wake up every day and I go out into a world and I don't meet these crazies on Twitter in real life. Okay? They are a small subset of the population and they are fighting the fight for the other people. Okay, we as mega people or whatever, Make America Great Again, realize that the elite since 1913 have taken our country over, and we realized we jumped on this train because I saw Trump headed down the direction away from totalitarian, away from the Federal Reserve, away from foreign wars, and I'm like, I'm getting on this train, and everybody who didn't get on that train is miserable and upset. But I have good news because you can get on the train at any point. That's the greatness about. I want to play that video if you can find it again of the girl who's not a Democrat anymore, that soft-spoken girl at the Trump rally. If you have it on your computer, just play her little segment because it's happier over here on this side. And I go to the grocery store and I don't wear my Trump hat because I don't want to ruffle any feathers. But people go to the movies and they buy pizza and they go to restaurants and they go to Starbucks and they put their kids in baseball. And you got a few little Twitter battles and a few little Facebook battles. But you guys, this is not going to be a civil war. It's not going to be violent. But I will tell you this. that the elites are pretending to make it like it will be because they don't have anything left.
Right.
They don't have people who are willing to...
It's called fear-mongering.
The only people they have are a handful of Antifa. When you look at their mugshots, they're like Skid Row meth heads, right? They're nobodies. They're nothing. They have no strength. They have nothing. And a lot of the conservatives think that we're fighting Antifa. We're fighting other Americans. We know that it's not. We're not fighting Hillary Clinton supporters. We're not fighting average Democrats. Okay, and that's why we are looking the elite straight in the eye. And there's millions of us. And there's more with us. We learn through history. It takes no gun, but it takes the words of, it's okay for me to own a gun.
Right.
Okay? Our words, and this is a prophetic word for you all right now. Your words are the gospel of Jesus Christ. And there are millions of people who are captive to a public school system that pulls a 6th grade boy aside and says, you can't say a boy is a boy. There are millions of people who are captive to this slavery corporate system, to the Monsantos. And yeah, we are literally taking them all on. Because once one goes, then they all go. And this is our moment, and we can feel it. And we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but rulers and principalities. And we realize that the demons are screaming, which is why when you watch, I'm going to play some of this, which is why maybe you can bring up, maybe they want to watch it, the MSNBC clip that Mom showed them. MSNBC, Brian Williams,
Okay.
8 equals
I'm not going to be able
H.
to find the other one that you wanted me to find with the girl.
Okay. Our own video?
Yeah, because I don't know what it's on. I don't know what video Mom put it
It's
on.
It's on the millennial video.
No, I don't see it.
XYZ.
I just checked if it's
Generation
on
XYZ. Well, I have it in my videos. I could bring it up.
MSNBC what?
MSNBC, Brian Williams, 8 equals H. The demonic forces have taken their masks off, and everybody who is demon possessed, you can now see it. Let me give you an example of someone who is crazy. Here you have MSNBC. MSNBC had a really bad week. Are they in our title? Can you fit them in our title? MSNBC had
Wait, the title on the Washington Examiner says MSNBC guest uncovers super secret Nazi code in Trump's half-staff order. Like, they're saying it like it's a real thing.
They says it on the real clear part of politics too. That's so funny. You have this. MSNBC literally went InfoWars, but to the left, and then down the line to the Anunnaki, to the underling people living in the Antarctic.
Wow.
We're now at V's and reptilians. And this is on literal MSNBC. So here you have Jason Johnson saying Tucker Carlson basically supports terrorism.
Right? Because I stand back and I look at this, and I see Tucker Carlson as a guy who has repeatedly failed in television, who's basically been given media welfare, a prime...
Okay, by the way, Tucker Carlson outbeats everybody.
He's like the #1 news show. Oh my gosh.
Everybody watches Tucker Carlson. Okay, first lie number 1.
spot to replace a guy who left because of massive sexual harassment issues, and he's still being promoted not because he's good at his job.
Yeah, because he's really good at his job.
Because he's really, really good at his job.
Because he has the skill set of the person that he replaced, but because he promotes a certain kind of bigotry that other people can't say as eloquently. What do we do with that as a society? Do we constantly call him out for it, or do we pretend he's actually just an entertainer?
Well, he's talented at serving it up. I mean, he is. That's a.
Who are you? And nobody wants
you. And to be perfectly honest, you're
well,
not talented.
Is that really what you want? That's like asking Trump to get off the golf course.
Well, I mean, but I think the issue is if you're constantly being busted for not being able to say the quiet part loud. You know, you're constantly saying the quiet part loud. It's like that's the problem.
To me, this is very similar to Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump comes down the escalator and he says, Mexico's sending rapists. And everyone's like, whoa, dude, that's a really racist. I mean, first of all, it's not true, but also that's a really racist thing to say. And remember that
Guess what? Rapists are coming up through the border. Yeah.
sponsorships got canceled,
Right.
and people reacted. But then it was just like, oh wow, there's just enough people that like this that he's just going to keep going, and that's basically the same issue with Trump TV.
Right. And here's the thing. From a financial standpoint, fine, there are people who still want to watch that kind of nonsense.
Right.
But I'm saying for the rest of us in the media ecosystem, for everybody else who's talking about it, we have to now frame this as this is somebody who basically supports terrorism.
Basically
Tucker
supports
Carlson
terrorism.
basically support. This is the guy who has repeatedly called for us to leave Syria, leave Afghanistan, who says Iraq, killing, 1 million people in Iraq was wrong. No more foreign wars, and all he's calling for is literally a strong border so that people cannot come over illegally.
Unbelievable.
That is all. And that is terrorism to this person. How do you get there? Okay, that's how you get there. You got this little clip up with this little guy. Listen, here's your conspiracy theory.
Okay, so which one do you want me to play, though? These are the videos that came up when I searched for it.
Probably that one, the 2-minute one, I guess.
This one right here.
Sure.
H and see what happens.
No. Brain Williams. That happens to be all the time. Actually, I have it too. I just thought you would want to. They don't want you to find it.
They really don't want you to find it.
I have it. I have to find it though. Because you have to see this. I know I shared it on my Resistance Chick, so you can bring it up there too. Wait, I think I brought it up here. I have it. Nope, that's Dayton. That's a good one. That's a happy one. We're gonna bring that up. Frank Fizgulzi. That's at the about 2-minute mark. Here we go.
And we didn't hear, I condemn white hate ideology. We heard the nation must condemn it. Well, the nation does.
We didn't
So
hear.
it's not the same to say that the nation must condemn something. You have to say, I condemn it.
So here's the thing. There's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to go to the grocery store. And then we say, we're going to go to the grocery store. It's a bigger net.
Hang on, though. Because if I were to say, the nation must be pro-life, that does not mean that I'm pro-life. I can say that the nation should be pro-life, but don't put me in that. You can't then say that that means that I'm pro-life. I just think that everybody else should be.
Does condemn it, but we didn't hear what we needed to hear. So what happens is the extremists interpret what the president.
So I don't know what's on with what's the deal with his eyes, but he's got the crazy eyes.
He does have the crazy
And
eyes.
we always reference the V because we watch this show where the people come down as reptilians and they really, you can see it in their eyes. And so he's a V to me.
Read off a script today as something he needed to say, something he didn't really want to say. So the president's either getting really good advice and rejecting it, or he's getting really bad advice. And I'll give you an example of that. We have to understand the adversary and the threat we're dealing with.
Here it comes.
And if we don't understand how they think, we'll never understand how to counter them. So it's little things and language and messaging that matters. The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th. That's 8/8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler. So we're going to be raising the flag back up at dusk on 8/8. No one's thinking about this. No one's giving
right
him
there.
the advice.
Because
Nobody's
nobody
be
is
thinking about it, man.
So he literally, the flag was at half-mast for the victims of both shootings. And the other guy was Elizabeth Warren, crazy guy, who we're going to cover a little bit about him. The Dayton shooter was a very crazy leftist whose whole Twitter feed is full of leftist craziness, who said he was going to vote for Elizabeth Warren. But I'm going to tell you something, and I know I've got Cassandra Fairbanks on here who totally disagrees with me, which is kind of weird, but the Dayton shooter.
Jim West says this guy needs a tin foil hat. Scotty says this guy is a conspiracy theorist. Isn't that great? It's so true.
So this is from our own Cincinnati Enquirer. And the Dayton gunman played in a... I've never heard of this.
I actually saw this a couple of days ago. A porno grind band.
Metal band.
It's like a...
It's
a vile band. Like I think that it should be self-explanatory because we all know what grind is.
Well, it's about grind
like
is
a grunge grind.
Yeah.
You know,
but with the porno grind, they like basically, I want to choke you, I want to give you black eyes, I want to hurt you, I want to assail you, throw you up against the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this really dark thing.
Yeah.
And he also had a rape list, and he shot his own sister. Okay, and one thing about, it took 60 rounds, I believe, as Thomas Massey said, to subdue this guy. And Thomas Massey said, my wife better at least have half of that or something like that.
No, just as much. He said, my wife better be able to defend my kids, you know.
With as many rounds.
It
says that, let's see, he was a registered Democrat who talked about guns. He was anti-gun, supposedly, and this is where you see the left all the time. He was supportive of Antifa, and let's see. When I heard he was a shooter, I was not surprised he did something like this, said David Partridge, who went to the same school as Betts in suburban Dayton. You will hear over the coming days many other people who were not surprised. When he was in school, Partridge told the Enquirer Betts had a hit list, and one of his family members appeared on it. Partridge contacted the police, who have not released any records relating to the allegation, citing the expungement of juvenile records. So, somebody came out and said, no more expunging juvenile records. We can start there, because Parkland should have been in jail. And here's the thing. In Europe, they're putting people in jail for political speech.
Right.
But Parkland's own mother called the cops on him, and the cops are
his
called
name
him.
is not Parkland. I don't know why we can't remember his name. Somebody in the chat can
Well,
tell us.
there are also people who aren't doing names. They're just doing. Got to give him.
I have to tell you though, I am so sick and tired of that. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's where you and Cassandra Fairbanks.
Seriously, this is the Enquirer. Really? Thank you.
Well, you got porno grind bands.
Porno grind bands, and then we have horrible. That's not addressed, by the way. Cincinnati Enquirer. It says. Let's see. Where am I?
But the point is.
Wait, I want to read. This violence from his.
Your head's kind of in front of it, but I think I'll just help.
Thanks. That's great. And that's the Cincinnati Enquirer. Way to go. That's the ads you want on there. So the expungement of juvenile records should not be a thing, because most kids have issues as kids.
Right.
And they go on to become horrible criminals.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but no expunging, and people should be able to look at those records of what you did as a kid. Let's see, where am I at? When he was a teenager, Taylor Ford went to summer camp with Betts. As he thinks back on it now, Ford remembers a violent incident at a school playground, more for the emotionless way Betts handled it than for the bruises Ford said that were left on his friend's neck. It happened one day after camp in Yellow Springs when Ford was 15 and a girl who had been dating Betts came to visit. Ford said he was talking on the phone about 30 yards away from Betts and his friend when the two seemed to disagree on something. 2 or 3 seconds later, without provocation, Connor grabbed my friend by the throat and started to choke her. I remember very clearly the bruises on her neck in the hours after this happened. Ford, now 24, recalled running away from Betts with his friend. He stared at us without any emotion. So he already strangled a girl, and why is it he shouldn't? Yeah, here's the thing. If you take and you strangle somebody, no, you don't get to have a gun as an adult. And somebody said this, here's the thing. When you're 18 or 21, however old you are, then I believe, and this is where I believe the left and the right can meet. I want to see where you were at as a kid. What kind of incidences, and if you don't have any incidences with police, then there's nothing we can do. But if you have an incident, which that should have been reported to the police.
Exactly.
And you choke somebody, then you should have another 10-year waiting period or 15-year waiting period. And a panel of judges should say, how's your life now? And you should have people in your life come and say,
witnesses,
because and I think that character witnesses, and I think that would, and I feel like that would be a fair type of gun control, that those who were juveniles who committed acts of violence, or anybody who's committed an act of violence, should have to go before a panel to get their Second Amendment right restored.
Reinstated. Yeah.
And if that were the case with Parkland, he would have never been able to get a gun. Mm-hmm. If that were the case with Dayton, he would never have to get a gun.
Right.
Been able to get a gun. And
but here's the thing about these evil people. They don't actually care about people's criminal records. Mm-hmm. Okay? We've got Bernie Sanders coming out saying that he wants felons to be able to vote. Well, I'm sorry. If you're a felon, you have just revoked your right to vote. Okay? And so they don't actually want the felons to not be able to get guns. They want the everyday average American not to be able to have their Second Amendment. They don't want us to be able to defend ourselves against anyone.
Okay, and here's another one. Taylor Gowd, now 22, was a middle school friend of Megan Bates. During a sleepover at Bates' home, and I have no idea why this dude is there, she angered Connor by defending Megan when Connor was mean to her. He strangled me because I got in his face to leave Megan alone. His mom saw it. They were going to talk to someone. Why they're having girl and guy sleepovers, I don't know.
That is weird.
Okay, and why girls are at his home? They were literally at this Betts kid's home having a sleepover.
Well, hang on, wait a minute, though, because he has a sister. So when you have a brother and a sister, then having girls and guys over goes
that makes
with
sense.
friends.
That makes sense. Another former classmate told the Inquirer that Betts threatened to kill her before and verbally harassed her in high school. Hey, you threaten to kill somebody, you don't get a gun. Okay? Eventually, Eva Lewis ended up on Betts's kill list. Lewis didn't speak up because she didn't want to encourage the behavior. It felt like real, too. He was being so forward that it would shock you into not saying anything. That's back.
Oh my gosh.
Both students had a prominent role in their senior musical. That meant the two were often alone together. Lewis said Betts sometimes talked about not taking medication. Police spent much of Monday outside Betts' home, about 15 miles southeast of Dayton. Among the first people to die on Sunday was Betts' sister, Megan, 22, a student of Wright State University. They don't know why he killed his sister, but you know what? He had a thing
well, okay,
about
so
women.
If he's in his porno grind band, we all know that pornography leads to rape and violence and murder, okay? Yeah. And so the problem that I have with this entire narrative of anti-Second Amendment, take all your guns away, is that nobody wants to actually talk about the societal things that create mass shooters. So, and you've said it, and you've said it on our Facebook, you said it on Twitter, that 50 years ago, people used to bring their guns to school all the time for gun class, by the way, for rifle, what's it called? Not rifle, not shooting, but anyway. They used to bring their guns to school for this. There weren't school shootings back then.
Right. Oh, shoot. So the porno grind is definitely disgusting. Obviously, abuse of a corpse is what he talks about.
And let me add this, though, really quickly.
One more time.
Jeez. Okay, my arm's getting tired. Can we get off this article?
Well, we keep talking. Can I just finish it?
And then I'll get to what I want to say.
All right. So, let's see. Where is I? I lost my article. Somebody said that he was.
Out?
No, I tried closing out. I just closed down the whole article. One classmate told the Inquirer that Betts had been bullied in high school.
We pay for the Inquirer. We should get it without ads, by the way. If you were signed in, we probably wouldn't have ads.
All right, that's probably true. He had a plan to shoot up the high school, said Lauren Wakely, who attended Bellbrook High School with him. And, yeah, so he had a plan to shoot up a high school. Everybody knew about him. There was another girl who said that he had depression humor, joked about dark thoughts and wanting to hurt people. She said, people who do not have a mental illness do not understand this sense of humor. They take it too far, but I didn't, so he trusted me. So Betts showed her video of the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh the first night they went out. Our relationship mostly consisted of us going out drinking and talking about our mental illnesses and him telling me about world tragedies and me talking about TV shows. And she says, I thought I had a decent judgment of character. Now I feel like my entire psyche needs to be scoped out and reevaluated.
Probably.
Probably. So under Ohio law, all sealed juvenile records are automatically expunged after 5 years or when the person turns 23, whichever happens first. And so he has no criminal record other than traffic offenses.
Wow.
So I think that we definitely need more. Obviously, like...
All right, so here's what I would like to propose as my first, as your candidate for whatever I'm running for. This is what I want to propose. Most gun deaths that take place in the United States that make our gun number, our deaths by gun numbers high, happen in, are gang related. Okay? So... I'm envisioning when you talk about them coming to take our guns, right? They're going to bring in the UN. They're going to bring in whoever they need to bring in to bang on your door and try to take your guns away. If they have, look at me when I'm talking to you.
I'm listening, but I'm trying
If they have the power to do that, okay, why not take that power downtown? Use their intelligence that they have on these gangs, bang on the door with SWAT teams and take their guns away first.
I think about it every day.
If you're going to go in and just forcefully take guns away, right? Do you know why they don't go and forcefully take the guns away from gang members? Because they know they get shot up. They will all die. The SWAT team members will die. It will be massacre. It will be ugly. Okay?
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, they banned guns in New York City. And really, Giuliani was really able to do. He did the stop and search,
right?
And if you had a gun on you, then it was taken away. And so he eradicated the city pretty much of guns. But he racially profiled people, and if you look like you were carrying a gun, then you got stopped and you were searched.
I still think that they should go banging on doors of known gang members, known gang places. Just be like, dude, none of y'all can have guns. We're taking them all.
I know.
These cops, you know, these cops wouldn't do it. Because they would fear for their lives afterwards.
I know.
Because those gang members would then get more guns and find them and kill them.
I know. Yeah, you're right. So this is Trump's. He says he's going to do stuff on gun control, and I'm not real hopeful about this. He says he's got the House on it. Mitch McConnell says they're going to look at assault weapon bans. That just means to them, they just mean semi-automatics, which there are millions and millions and millions out there. Right. So. Trump says we're going to get something done. He says we need intelligent background checks. This isn't a question of NRA, Republican, or Democrat. He says Mitch McConnell is going to lead the charge. So he will review the House-passed bill that would expand federal background checks for firearm sales. None of that is going to help whatever. None of those will ever help what the background checks. I think about this. Wait, real quick. Do you get a background check when you get a cell phone? Do you get a background check that do you get some sort of monitor on your phone that says you can't text and drive? There's no background check that says, hey, teenagers, maybe you don't get a cell phone because you might text and drive and you might kill someone.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that they should get rid of cell phones, okay? But via GPS, we all know that they track when your phone is moving at car speed. So I think that your phone should become defunct, right?
How many people? But people wouldn't be able to do it because they text and drive, and everybody talks on the phone in the car.
Right, I know.
People wouldn't be able to do it.
I know.
People wouldn't be able to do it. There are 1.8 million distracted driving accidents a year. I have the statistics up. I don't have them all memorized, but I think that for me, it's the texting and driving,
right,
that really gets people. Because I do know this. I have this off the top of my head. Texting and driving leads to accidents 6 times more than drunk driving. And do you get a license to be able to buy alcohol?
No.
It is illegal to drink and drive. It's illegal to use your gun to shoot somebody. But they want to. Is there a background check that goes behind somebody to get an alcohol buying license?
No.
To make sure that they are not going to drink and drive?
Right.
If you drink and drive, do you get your license to buy alcohol revoked?
Right.
Do you get your license to buy a car revoked? If you text and drive, do you get your license to buy a cell phone revoked? If you text and drive, do you get your license to buy a car revoked? You have to have a driver's license technically to drive it, but you really don't to buy one.
Right.
We're talking about just buying the gun.
Right.
Okay? We're talking about just buying a gun.
And I think that really what you're speaking to speaks to this, I want my conveniences in life, and they are as equal to breathing.
Right.
I have a right to drive. I have a right to my cell phone more than I have a right to my Second Amendment right.
Right, exactly. Your right to a cell phone, your right to drive a car, and your right to drink alcohol are not in the Constitution. Okay? And it's the... I had some more. I think this is an article I was reading earlier on the number of people who die. I know 30 people die a day through drunk driving. Okay, and there's been, and I know 300 people die a day from abortion, and to date there's been about a little over 300 to date deaths by mass shootings. And you want to take away the rights of millions of people, their Second Amendment right, because other people are doing something they should not be doing. And our Constitution was made solely for a religious and moral people, because there is so much freedom in our Constitution. There's so much freedom in our government. And you have to be able to police yourself. But when you have porno grind going through your speakers and you're singing about rape, and you got rape lists, and you're not, obviously his parents, I'm just going to call it out. Horrible parents. Horrible, 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 horrible parents. Their one kid's a mass shooter, and their other daughter's dead. Like, worst parent in the world. And I don't care if I make you feel bad. You raised a monster. And I'm going to say this. The world raised a monster. But if if I'm singing in a band, my mama's listening to my songs. And she's going to be proud of me. Your mama gonna be like, I'm raping that corpse, okay? I'm raping that dead body. I mean, I was choking. I mean, like, your mama hear you say that, she gonna march you down to the precinct and say, lock him up. Lock him up. He cray, psycho. Get him out of that. Seriously. Why do you think they call it porno grind anyways? Because porn is violent.
Yeah.
Porn is violent. This isn't, it's not love, two people making love, blah, blah, blah. We're just watching two people make love. No. When you start watching other people do things, it changes your brain.
Yeah.
And you all know this because you watch us. Ain't no way you could be watching porn. Because literally the demons inside of you would be like, I can't watch that. But that pornography, so you know that for other people, it goes down another path where you're literally going to this like evil thing, this violence that just takes over.
Yeah.
And he was literally, and I feel sorry for him a little bit because of this. Obviously, if he's strangling people, he has no self-control. If he's strangling kids at 15 years old,
right,
that kid has no self-control, and probably because he was watching porn from the time he was a teenager.
Right.
And kids and young boys don't know what to do. Their brains are not made to process pornography.
Exactly.
They're not made to process, oh, I feel good when I watch this dude choke this woman. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. Okay, so like they're not meant to process that. And so he was obviously a hardcore dude in this vein, and not everybody who watches porn is going to go shoot up a bunch of people, obviously.
Right.
But the violence is still there, and the violent tendencies are still going to be there. And so we need to address what causes it. And Patriot I would say it all goes back to gold and silver, and I would as well. I mean, if you want to talk about the underlying causes, when our economy collapses and there's no electricity and you can't access all this stuff, everybody's just going to be set free like that. Their brains will be free. Their brains will be free because you can think. When you're out in nature, you think clearly, again, mostly. And when you're out in nature and you have people present the gospel to you, which is what our country is founded on, the gospel of Jesus Christ, people are at peace.
They have this new thing out. It's called nature bathing.
Really?
Where you go and you hike in woods and stuff like that, and it's supposed to be like really good for you.
That's awesome. I can't even. I'm
You like go to the beach, or you just go outside, and it's called nature bathing. I heard it on the radio. I'm serious. I was like, I can't believe these people actually take this seriously. I mean, it's while we're talking about the shooters, I'm wondering if you're going to hit on the El Paso shooter and some of the conspiracy theories that are going around about him. Not just conspiracy theories, but the facts that don't line up.
Well, we did our show, and there's really nothing that's come out, in my opinion. Our show is down. It's down, isn't it? That's right.
It's back up. No, it's back up. Well, it's not back up. Mom had uploaded accidentally to Mass Faith 3 when she meant to upload it to Resistance Chicks and let it stay. And so when they removed our first one that was getting thousands of views, that one's still down. But the other one is still there. It's got like 300 views. So the El Paso shooter. And there have been a lot of things that have come out since we did our show. The fact that his dad was a Satanist. The fact that this also the Dayton kid was a Satanist. You got a message from a lady who, and this is just hearsay, but it could be true.
Said that the El Paso shooter was autistic, and her friend's daughter used to babysit for this family, and he was autistic.
And he never would have been able to compose something like that. There's 8chan coming out saying, listen, we never put this out.
But it was uploaded on Instagram. And somebody else uploaded on 8chan.
And so so there's the Satanist link between the two, which we as Christians could have told you, but now it's literal fact. His dad was a psychologist.
Who was into John of God, which is some sort of weird
Satanist.
Satan.
And he's on video, literally on video, saying that he felt like this Satanist prophet, whatever, John of God, is this really wonderful, person.
And the kid grew up in an abusive household.
Yeah. And so and Patriot Gallery said that on the X22 report, and I can't confirm this because I didn't watch it, but if you want to go and check it out and see if if it feels legit to you, the reason why we kept hearing Walmart Mall the day that it happened, we kept hearing mall and we kept hearing Walmart, we kept hearing mall and we kept hearing Walmart, is because there was a shooting drill taking place in the mall at the exact same time as this young man just so happens to end up in the Walmart. And that's consistent with a lot of these false flag things that really did happen when people died. But we have seen that they did drills either just prior. Okay, we saw in Parkland that they had just done mass shooting drills like a month before, a couple of months before. I think it was January. Yeah, it would happen in February. And they had just done a mass shooting drill in January. Okay, we got that confirmed from Blue Guy, the young man that goes to school there, who we interviewed. Okay, so we see this consistently, this doing a drill, and then the shooting actually happens. Now, this one just so happened to be taking place at the exact same time. Okay, we know that people legitimately died, but it would be a good cover, if it's true, to put something like this forth. So I wanted to kind of bring those things to you guys, and you can go and do your own research on that.
I want to play a happy. This is Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visiting the Dayton hospital and the victims.
Wait a minute.
Well, they're not going to say anything, so.
Okay, well, but the music is nice. That's awesome.
And I think that a lot of people don't want to believe that this is Trump, but he wants to go in. He wants to say, I'm the president of the United States and I should be here. Yeah. And I want to bring you comfort.
Well, the only thing that the mainstream media showed was a few protesters, like a few. saying, we don't want you to come. Like the victims of the shooting didn't want and they made it seem like all of Dayton didn't want the president to come. And that's a false narrative. They are fake news.
You spit on me.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
So I forgot to add, and Belinda reminded me here, that there's actual footage of multiple witnesses, not just one, multiple witnesses in El Paso who say that they saw 4 men dressed in black doing the shooting in the Walmart.
Right.
So either all 4 of those witnesses are liars, or you can come to your own conclusion. And Mike Adams, who's whip smart, like he is so smart, he says, listen, if you look at the young man and the one shot that they give you, the photo that they give you that was on our video, which I took down because they were censoring us, you can't see any extra magazines. It's not that he doesn't have any extra, but if he had any extra, it was only like 1, because you literally... Mike Adams points out that if he is, the shooting, the extra magazine would have been on, I think, his right side, who's a left-handed shooter, or vice versa. But you don't see any extra magazines. So you are only left to assume that he had the, 60 rounds in his one magazine or whatever. And Mike Adams is like, listen, I don't know, the best marksman I'm not saying that it's impossible that he could have had that many kills with that few rounds, but he would have had to been the sharpest shooter in the wild, wild west for him to be able to hit that many kills with that kind of weapon. I mean, do you guys understand how fast that has to be we're talking about a semi-automatic weapon, which is, you have to pull every trigger, bang, bang, bang. This is as fast as it's going to go, is as fast as your finger can go. Okay. So you're doing this the entire time, and almost every single shot that you hit is a kill shot. Like this. You're literally going bang, 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 bang. And every shot is a kill shot. Forget it. No way. This young man in El Paso, we saw his picture, and I'm not trying to physically profile anybody. That kid is not a sharpshooter.
No, it's supposedly the manifesto said, supposedly his mom called the police and said, I think my son has this AK-47 style weapon, and I don't think he should have one. And the police were like, if he's 21, it's okay for him to have it. His manifesto says that he didn't prepare for it very much. You're not going to kill that many people if you haven't prepared.
And that's it. His manifesto itself said, I didn't give much thought to this. I haven't really prepared for this. Are you kidding me? You better be at the shooting range for 10 hours a day practicing to be that good of a shooter, right, to kill that many people and injure how many more.
Right. Okay, so here's Donald Trump on Joe Biden not playing with a full deck.
Stuart the Brit says his barrel would have overheated.
Yeah.
Yeah, his comments, look. Joe is not playing with a full deck. He made that comment. I said, whoa, I saw it because I was on something. I had a television. I saw his comment. Joe Biden is not playing with a full deck. This is not somebody you can have as your president. But if he got the nomination, I'd be thrilled. We're looking at that right now. We have a lot of these companies coming in a little while. As you know, we're going to be very tough with them. They're treating conservatives very unfairly. Hollywood, I don't call them the elites. I think the elites are people they go after in many cases. Hollywood is really terrible. You talk about racist. Hollywood is racist. What they're doing with the kind of movies they're putting out, it's actually very dangerous for our country.
He's talking about that, the hunt.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's talking about the hunt there. It's very dangerous. So Twitter suspended Mitch McConnell's re-election campaign because after this shooting, there were a bunch of protesters at Mitch's house.
Unbelievable.
And they shared a video of the people protesting at his house. And they were the ones. So now a lot of people are pulling the violence and threats of violence against political opposition to out of control. As for this video of unhinged Dems in front of Mitch McConnell's house calling for his murder, Twitter allowed Massacre Mitch to trend, but suspended Mitch McConnell's account because he shared this video of people out front.
Mitch, we know you're home.
That's got to be fixed.
Your wife, everything you stand for.
Hopefully somebody out there with some voodoo dolls in these.
Yeah, you know somebody is. That's probably what it is. Just stab the in the heart, please.
Just stab him in the heart, please.
So Mitch McConnell's not allowed to share the violent threats that are happening against him, so they suspend his whole campaign on Twitter. Yeah, that's got to be like fixed though. Like somebody has to fix that.
Yeah, and so right now, a lot of conservatives are not advertising on Twitter right now in protest. So it's pretty queer. I didn't mean to say queer. It's pretty weird. So
you're getting censored for that.
The White House circulates executive order to combat big tech's alleged anti-conservative bias. That's from the National Review, which is supposedly was conservative, but is now full on lefty.
Ellen Jackson says, Leah, they reinstated his campaign account.
Yeah, they did. They did.
But the fact that they suspended it to start with is ridiculous. Yeah. Now, did you want to tell them about your Twitter apology?
No, you tell them.
So I get an email.
Well, tell them why. I got suspended that night after the show that we went
when they
live.
took our El Paso show down.
I posted that right after we went live, and I kept trying to show people that he was a lefty socialist who wanted universal health care and universal basic income. I'm not blaming Yang at all, but that's a Yang proposal. Okay. Now I also want to show you this because I can't stay on very much longer. But Yang says only U.S. citizens would be allowed to get the $1,000 a month. He vows a lot of the manifesto. Yang has talked about how illegal immigration coming over is taking U.S. jobs.
Right.
And he's talked about U.S. citizens in a way that the manifesto does echo that as well. So he says, somebody asked him, Mr. Yang, does the $1,000 a month go to people who are in the country illegally as well? It goes to citizens, so it would not go to undocumented immigrants. The money would also not be given to people who are legal permanent residents, just citizens. But Yang says he believes people who are in the country illegally should have a thing.
Okay, so they made you take down your tweet that posted the manifesto.
Right.
And they suspended your account for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then a few days ago, just yesterday, we get an email that says, hello, we're writing to let you know that we recently made a mistake by locking your account temporarily. We apologize for the inconvenience. Your account is now active and we hope to see you back on Twitter soon. Please note, it may take a few hours for your follower and following numbers to return to normal.
Yeah. I want to play this video here talking about, the way people are being harassed, the way Trump supporters are being harassed. We went to the MAGA rally and most people won't wear their stuff in public. And it's because it says one woman in the crowd to this woman wearing a MAGA hat in El Paso saying, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Several prominent Democratic politicians objected to Trump's visit to El Paso, blaming him for the shooting. Beto O'Rourke here as one of them. His racism. But let's see, where's the Twitter video of this poor woman being harassed?
So also there was the young man in Missouri yesterday. Did you guys hear about that? Hang on, there's something playing here. Pause. We don't want to listen to you. Let me close that out. He walks into a Walmart with gear and a rifle and an off-duty armed firefighter. So they make it sound like when they say off-duty firefighter that somehow he should have the right to. He's a firefighter.
So
they don't have
it's okay
guns.
for him to have a gun,
right? And he was able to.
But here's the thing: this guy supposedly was just doing a Second Amendment audit to walk around saying, I can wear these guns in public. He wasn't actually there to go commit something, but I think it's incredibly stupid.
Been there to do harm,
yeah,
he was stopped. He was stopped by somebody that was armed.
Right.
It says that he was carrying loaded tactical weapons, and he was arrested and taken. And now, it says that his intent obviously was to cause chaos here, and he did that. Like you just said, it doesn't say that his intent was to do a mass shooting.
This was obviously stupid. Please do not go out in public brandishing weapons right now.
Right. Yeah. Not a good idea.
Okay, so here, poor Trump supporter.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
I disagree with the way that I very much disagree with the way that the congresswoman, I very much disagree with the way that Beto works.
So we don't negotiate with terrorists, and she's just kind of harassed. So I guess we'll cover that on Sunday for actually, did we put the Canada thing in the title?
We did.
Okay, we'll put that in our Sunday title.
I can take it out of the title.
We want to leave on some good news. So,
no, the Canada thing didn't make it in the title, actually.
Okay, that's fine. So I want to leave on some good news so we can get to my thing here. So a bunch of Trump supporters went to Baltimore and they cleaned up. And I would have had my videos up, but I don't have them up. So I'm going to try to find them real quick. Scott Pressler. The liberal media is furious after Trump supporters clean up West Baltimore. Here's Scott Pressler. He is a conservative activist, a gay guy, who led a group of Trump supporters to pick up trash in Representative Elijah Cummings' falling apart district in West Baltimore. The locals in the area were very thankful. But the liberal media called him an extremist for picking up trash and also hammered him for reinforcing the tired image that poor people in the city can't take care of their own neighborhoods. Well, they weren't doing that.
So now helping clean things up is racist.
Good morning, everybody. This is Scott Pressler. I'm now in West Baltimore. We're here because we want to help pick up trash and clean up the city. You know, this isn't just about Trump or anti-Representative Cummings or anything. This is about we want to help our fellow citizen and we want to come together as a family because we're all Americans. And I ask you to please post on social media today, #Americans Helping Americans.
So this is a beautiful thing, and they really, they did it. They did it. They cleaned up. And it, you know, you can only clean up so much in one day.
Hey everybody, we are out here at North Fulton and Westwood in Baltimore. This is West Baltimore. And as you can see, we have volunteers all over the place. They've come from all over the country. Virginia Beach, Virginia, North Carolina. We have local Baltimore, that's right. And we are just having an amazing time. This is an act of love. This is people coming together, Americans coming to help Americans. That's what this is all.
And did you know that the city of Baltimore would not give them dumpster permits?
You're kidding.
They didn't want them coming to clean things up.
It just goes to show, though, because and I hate to say the left, and I'm sorry, but I have to, because the left really does want to keep poor people of all colors, all color, whatever, poor. Do you understand? Because they want to keep you demoralized. They want to keep you in a mindset of, this is my status quo.
Okay, guys, it's 6:30, and another shift of volunteers is out here. We literally have been in West Baltimore picking up trash since 8 o'clock this morning. People from all over the country, all over Maryland, all over Baltimore have been here all day long.
What
did they do with the trash if they didn't?
I guess
get the
they had filled up in trucks and take it to the dump rather than get dumpsters. Wow. You know, it was so much easier just to dump it in a dumpster. Have the permits come, pay for the dumpster, fill the dumpsters up, and keep filling up dumpsters.
And imagine also for the economy, all these people coming into town, getting hotels.
Yeah. So here is West Baltimore local who says she really appreciates it.
Like, it's always been like really trashy and everything back here. So to see the cleanup, to see, it, you know, like I showed you the before picture of what we was dealing with, I am I am elated. I really am. I'm really happy about it.
You told her she would be so
I
happy.
really am. I want to cry, but I'm not a crier, so I'm just keep smiling. Like,
Well, see what you did with the thing on the floor. It didn't make it all the way to your house.
Right,
So
right,
now,
right.
That's awesome.
It has. And I was just really happy. I saw you guys
Corey
doing
says they're
like
stealing
that.
the
I was
trash.
looking like y'all are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
Awesome
We're
job.
so happy to be here to help. You know.
Thank you so much. If nobody else told you, I appreciate it. I truly appreciate it.
I get emotional, and I don't know if you can put that in the title, Baltimore Cleanup, maybe take out Mississippi for the ICE raids, because this was really important. Baltimore locals, and here's some more Baltimore locals.
My hand so I could tell Mr. Trump that you were thankful.
I'm very thankful.
And
You
this-
opened up a can of worms with the lives are coming. Our District 7.
And this is Miss Dupay, and I'll never forget.
Yes. District 7. District
Yes,
7.
ma'am.
And some other people were saying that, you know, as the older people kind of died, here's the before and after. And some people were, older people died, then the neighborhood kind of fell apart. But here's the before and after. And it may not look like much to some people, but, and guys, I've cleaned up a lot of trash. And the hardest thing to do is find out where you're going to put it.
Yeah.
And for Scott to organize this and for Americans to come together, that's what America's all about. And the left can't even praise and say, oh my gosh, look, the right and left can come together because we can clean up Baltimore.
No, because they can't. So Kelly says, Michelle, could you do a mention that we're doing 2 shows tomorrow at 7 p.m.-ish via Deuteronomy and Northwest PA are carrying more now. So Kelly PB fam. You guys can check that out tomorrow on Saturday. And Redneck Zach says that it's his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
So happy birthday to one of our moderators. Zach, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday and be blessed and enjoy it.
We don't have a song because I got to get going, but I did write something today, and this might be a good word for some of you. A lot of you have been Christians for a long time. A lot of you have been working really hard on getting close to the Lord and making changes. And you, in the world and society that we have today, we all need a lot of healing.
Yeah.
Because most of us have some sort of brokenness or some abuse in our family or an abuse in our past. And you have to heal those things up and make them, and allow God to heal. Jesus came to heal the brokenhearted. So he wants you to be healed and not, I know a lot of people say, well, this and this made me who I am. No, that broke you. Everybody should be at a baseline, right? And then you can go up or down from there. The baseline is that you had loving parents in a loving society who taught you the word of God. You were healthy,
Right.
and that's your baseline.
Yeah.
And Jesus wants to get you to your baseline, okay? And a lot of us, you know, you're in public school. Well, you need to be healed from that. You've had to use paper dollars and the Federal Reserve, and every single day it tears you apart because that dollar that you just earned is worth less today than it was yesterday, and it tears you apart because you're literally a rat on a spinning wheel. Okay, not everybody has things that they need to be healed from, and Jesus said, "I didn't come to heal. I didn't come for the healthy. I came for the sick."
Yeah.
Isaiah 61 says, "I came for the brokenhearted. I came for the poor. I came for the captive. I came for the sick. I came for He came for people who need him."
Right.
Okay, so when the Pharisees came to him, he's like, "I didn't come for you." Like, God still loves the world. God loves the world, but they are so healthy in their own eyes and in their own minds. They don't need him. He didn't come for them. He came for people
Right.
who needed him. Okay, so we all, whether you're rich or poor, and I said this to Mama Michelle and to Kansas about Donald Trump. He's a very rich man, and the disciples, Jesus said, it's harder for a rich man to get into the kingdom of God than it is a camel to go through the eye of the needle. The eye of the needle was the gate that the camels took to get into the city, and they had to take the saddlebags off. So when the rich young ruler says, "I've done all this stuff," and Jesus says, "One thing you lack, go sell all you have and give to the poor." And when I think about Donald Trump, this much I do know, that he's worth less today than when he started in office.
Yeah.
That his friends left him behind. What did you say about Don Jr. in the elevator?
Don Jr. at the Trump rally came out and he said that when in 2015, when he and his dad got in the elevator for Trump to announce his candidacy, and the elevator door closed, Donald Trump looked at him and said, "Now we find out who our real friends are."
And yes, Donald Trump does still rub shoulders with some billionaires. I know he's meeting with one to have, you got to have $100,000 to get to this dinner or whatever. But his friends are like diamond and silk.
Yeah.
He brought in Brandon Straka to the Trump rally. He knows Candace Owens and congratulated her on her wedding. That's what you do for a friend, and she makes like $50,000 a year with Turning Point. I'm sure she's got a book coming out. She's gonna make more money, and she's marrying a really wealthy hedge fund guy. But still, she didn't start out that way.
British.
My point is that Trump, his friends are just regular people like you and me, and Matt and I were talking about this last night, and he said the one thing I think that Trump really respects is not so much people that come to him and say, give me a job, but somebody who's already doing what they're good at, no matter where they're at in what they're doing good at. Mm-hmm. So if you're already, promoting yourself, and he's going to promote you. If you're already out there doing stuff, no matter, he has a respect for entrepreneurship and for the little guy making it.
That video that Kansas Cowboy did about being a street sweeper. And he quotes, I think Martin Luther King Jr. that says, listen, if you're going to be a street sweeper, then you better be the best daggum street sweeper there is. And that's actually scriptural.
Right.
The Bible says that whatever job that you find your hands to do it with all of your heart as unto the Lord.
And not unto men.
All right, so I'm going to play one of your songs in the background very, very quietly so that it has a little bit of music with it.
All right. So, here we go. This might be for you. I don't know. Put your name in here. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. I play the harp. I play the harp before the Lord my God. I take care of the sheep, and my shepherd takes care of me. Lord, when I wander far from the fold, you bring me back. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I know that I will never go far from your presence. Oh, Lord, you are with me. Pain and torment are the words of the day inside my head. But this is why you died and bled, to take this pain from me on Calvary, to heal me wholly, completely from the inside out. Lord, may the world see what you've been doing in me all these years. You've been perfecting me, guiding me, leading me, teaching me, all the things I know that I need to be. I will be for you, live in me, and I in you.
And he'll hold you and love you and tell you how beautiful you are. And you dance all night till the sun came up with the morning light.
Yeah, start over.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Perfect love casts out fear. There is no fear in love. I play the harp. I play the harp before the Lord my God. I take care of the sheep, and my shepherd takes care of me. Lord, when I wander far from the fold, you come and bring me back. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me, I know. That I will never go far from your presence. O Lord, you are with me. Pain and torment are the words of the day inside my head. But this is why you died and bled, to take this pain from me on Calvary, to heal me wholly, completely from the inside out. Lord, may the world see what you've been doing in me all these years. You've been perfecting me, guiding me, leading me, teaching me, all the things I know I need to be. I will be for you, live in me, and I in you. Father, we are one by the power of your Son, the Holy Spirit. Good things have just begun for me. I will dance, I will clap my hands, I will sing. I will call those things, as there's my alarm telling me I gotta go. I will dance, I will clap my hands, I will sing, I will call those things that be not as though they were, for you are taking me further than anyone's ever gone before in this lifetime. People have entered into the Holy of Holies, but not like this. So many spots they've missed. They've missed the horses and buggies living off the land. It can be so grand, and we just allow God to take our hand. Gold and silver is the way to go. Time will tell. It will show that we have put our trust in you and listened. As we put our ears to the ground, we feel the tremors and the shaking. We know you, and we know you know our names. They're written in the Lamb's Book of Life, and no one can blot them out. So why did it take so long? Why did it take so long to get the healing, to get the message, to get the map, to get the feeling of your power flowing through me once again, through my veins, filled with the power of the presence of the Holy Spirit? I want to sing. I just want to shout out. Here you are. Let the world see it. Open my mouth. Open my mouth and let the gospel spring out. Open my mouth and let good things come out. Open my mouth and set the captives free. I want to sing your song all day long. Sing of your goodness. Praise your name. Glory to God. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came and you died for me to set me free so I could live eternally with you, unglued from this world. I'm unashamed, walking with you in the garden once again. They cry peace, peace when there is no peace, but I have your peace living inside of me because of your grace and your mercy and what it's done for me. Lord, you have given me a gift. Let me not be remiss to share it with the young and the old, the hurting and the broken, the tired and the poor, the friendless and the fatherless, the widow. And Father, only you. Abba, Father, I cry to you. There is nothing, no miracle that you can't do when we cry to you. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first, as your light springs forth, as a new day bursts. The oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Come into the heavenly, meet and greet, and sit at his feet, lay your burdens at his feet. Why? The nations war, and the earth is tossed to and fro. My heart stays on you, for this much I know, that I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. You pour oil upon my head. You create a banquet for me in the presence of mine enemies. My cup runneth over. It's time to speak. You've spent many years down on your knees. You come to me and write words that give you. You come to me, write the words that I give you today. Write them down for all to see. Let the world know the love of God. Show forth from you. Speak. Speak forth the gospel of the good news that I have given you. Let love be your guiding light. Not as the world gives, give I unto you. This love that is holy, it's pure, it's true. Tell them I have good things for those who call upon me, who seek me in holiness and truth. I will be there for you. I will give you the anointing. I will give you the words. Burst forth. You have been healed from the inside out. If you've ever seen a wound, a lot of wounds have to be packed. A lot of wounds have to be kept moist, because if you let them scab over, they'll get infected, especially with like a dog bite or a dog wound. You have to heal from the inside out. So a lot of times people look at you and they say, oh, you're not healed. We had a dog over next door who had this crusty, ucky thing on his backside, and it was all torn up. It was gross. Well, he had just torn chunks out of his rear end, and he just was. But all of a sudden, he took his cone off, and he peeled all that icky scab off.
Yeah.
But it had healed from the inside out, and you couldn't tell that it was healed till the scab was gone. So sometimes in your life, God's healing you from the inside out, and the world can't see because all they see is the scab. So keep on keeping on. Let God heal you from the inside out. And when it's time, the scab will fall off, and they'll see that you're healed, and you'll be able to go forward.
I like that. That's really, really good. That's a powerful word. You just wrote that today.
Yep.
God wrote it.
God wrote that.
All right, Leah's going to head out. I'm going to sign off. We want you guys to send us your letters to P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. We will read them on air. Thank you, Thomas, for your words earlier about gun control in the United States. So we will be back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news. That's going to be a really great show. So come back and join us for that. I do hope to do a Bible study soon now that I'm not sick anymore. Praise the Lord for that. Redneck, I hope your birthday is beautiful tomorrow. So I want you guys to have a wonderful rest of your evening. Be safe. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Good night, guys. I was caught